The following documentary examines the delicate nature of Tito's Yugoslavia and how the communist dictator succeeded in building this nation based on the principles of brotherhood and unity. Additionally, the documentary examines how the ideals of brotherhood and unity impacted the people in the wake of the Second World War.
Poslije rata imamo uvijek opet isto tako da moramo dokazivati da Jugoslavija je jedinstvena. Da je laž ono što se priča da će Jugoslavija propasti ako ovaj ili one nestane bez ja ili neko drugi. Jugoslavija je danas tako vezana, toliko se jedinstvena, bez obzira na nas, više nas je danas. Gledao sam sada kad smo išli iz Beograda i po noći, po kiši, ogromna masa sveta nas je dočekivalo. Zar bi čovjek išao da je nezadovoljan, da recimo da nas dočekuje po noći 4-5 sati čeka zakona da se sredstvo napraviti? Ne bi. To dokazuje jedinstvo našeg naroda. To dokazuje veru tih naših naroda u nas, u našu dužnost, u našu politici, u našu težnju da činimo čim više što možemo. Mi postojimo za našu zemlju.
Dobar dan. Ja sam Milan. Ja ću da vodim ovaj intervju. Dajte, molim te, gospođo, predstavite se, molim.
Ja se zovem Nada Ilišević. Rođena sam pre rata u Vukovaru i posle mi je mesto boravka bilo dalje, Zemun, Beograd i tako dalje.
Odakle je vam familija? S kog mesta?
Moja familija je iz Vukovara, mi smo svi rođeni tamo i ja i moja braća i sestra i moji roditelji i moja baba i deda, svi smo odatle.
I...
To je bila Hrvatska.
A odakle vam, mislim...
Moja mama, ona je iz tog mesta, Vukovara, ali ona je Švabica poreklom, a moj tata je Srbin.
Good evening, sir. I am Milan Bobić. I will be conducting the interview. Would you at this time care to introduce yourself to the camera, please?
Good evening. My name is Sava Vidanović. I was born in Pirot, southeast part of Serbia, in 1932.
Billy and Frank Bubik, we are both originally born in Yugoslavia and Yugoslav citizens.
Mićo Bubić, 72 godine, rođen sam 42. u oktobru, iz područja Doboj ili bliže opština Teslić.
Kaže da sam rođena 41. a upisala sam 40. Sad kako je to izašlo, ja ne znam. U Čumurović kod Gornjeg Teslića rođena sam.
My name is Rajko Bogdanović. I was born in Sarajevo in 1961. that's pretty much it. I immigrated to Canada during the war in former Yugoslavia in 1990, well, between 91 and whatever. I immigrated here in 94.
Hello, so my name is Anita. I come from Croatia, from Zagreb, and I actually just moved to Montreal 3 years ago because I got a job here. So that's it. I'm a temporary worker here.
My name is Susanna Selak. I am 29 years old and from Vancouver, born and raised. I now live in Montreal and study at Concordia University, and I am a first-generation Canadian from Bosnian Croatian parents.
Hi, my name is Hana. I'm 22, and I come from Sarajevo, Bosnia and Herzegovina.
The German invasion of Yugoslavia, codenamed Operation Punishment, took place on April 6, 1941. Massive casualties forced Yugoslavia to surrender unconditionally on April 17th. As a result, King Peter and his supporters fled the country to America.
King Peter, boy ruler of Yugoslavia, meets President Roosevelt for the first time. Only 19, the young king comes to seek aid for Yugoslav guerrillas waging war against the Axis. He meets the president's cabinet, and also for the first time faces a barrage of American newspapermen. A king without a country, but communiques from the Balkans say his guerrilla troops are keeping busy many German divisions. King Peter's Yugoslavia is still very much in the fight.
With the Yugoslav king in America, Tito and his partisans were able to secure the support of the Allies, which subsequently led to communist control over all of Yugoslavia. Tito, for his part, garnered large support from inside the state as well, through his program of incorporating Serbs, Croats, Slovenes, and others in the fight against the Germans. These would be the blueprints for his Brotherhood and Unity.
My parents were, well, they both were born not too, well, they were pretty young. They were born in 1936 and 1938, so they themselves really don't remember much of a war. My father does, to a point. He was maybe, so 1936, so he was 5 when the war started. And he told us the stories about hunger and having to sneak into the warehouses where the occupators, well, Germans mostly, to a point, held the food, and the coal was like gold at the time. And during the winter, how do you heat yourself in the city? You can't exactly go to forest, chop some tree and load it up, and make a bonfire or something. So he remembers some of it, and what was fascinating, like he was always very, very fond of a particular type of meal, which is insane. I could never eat it. I could never eat it. Back then, the milk wasn't pasteurized. The only way to pasteurize it, they used to cook it. But as you cook it, there's the cream that's formed on top of it, right? They will scoop it and mix it with a little bit of milk and chunks of bread. He loved that. No sugar, no salt, forget about anything, right? No meat, that's unthinkable. He loved it to the last day. It's fascinating how people actually reduce themselves to something like that. It's just awesome to eat anything, basically.
Kako je rat dotakao vašu porodicu?
Kad se zaratilo, mi smo bili onda već u Zemunu i u Beogradu i to je bilo 1941. godine. Moj otac je onda otišao na vojnu vežbu, a mi smo ostali tu 6. aprila kad su počeli bombarduju Beograd.
What were your feelings towards the war?
Well, I was a small kid when 41 the Second World War started, and my father was mobilized to go on a front in called at that time Dimitrovgrad, and I was the oldest part of the family who start to replacing the father. I remember one thing. First time when my father was gone in a front, I put something behind the door, and my mother asked me, "What is that?" I said, "I feel as a part of the family who supposed to defend the family, and if somebody comes to my door, he gonna get that in the head."
Kad su Njemci prolazili kroz naše područje, onda su čitava naselja ili svi stanovnici su bježali u šumu da se sakriju dok Njemci prođu. Međutim, ja sam bio mali, ja to ne pamtim, ali bilo mi je valjda hladno, po njihovom mišljenju, ja sam plakao. I pošto su Njemci prolazili toliko blizu put da su ovi čuli korake i čuli zveckanje oružja i priče koje nisu razumeli, onda su morali mene da ušutkaju, ali nisu znali kako, pa su se pogađali. Otac je rekao materi, udavi ga ako ne more drugačije. Ona mene pružila njemu, evo ti ga ušake pa ga udavi ti. Tako da prošlo je, nisu me udavili, da li na sreću ili na nesreću, ne znam. Kad su Njemci prošli, oni se vratili kući i nastavili svoj svakodnevni teški život, pošto je bilo kao i svima ostalima, radilo živilo se.
My mother's brother was drafted into German army because he lived in Bosnia, and his family was considered non-Orthodox Christians, and they considered that he was not the only one. They drafted everybody of the military age, and he was sent to Stalingrad with Croatian SS troops, and he never returned. And we know that he was killed at Stalingrad, but
on my mother's side, my mother was born in 1938, but her siblings were all born 10 or 15 years before her, and all of them. She had 2 sisters and a brother, and all of them joined SKOJ. It's, I don't know, SKOJ, you have to explain that. That's an association of communist youth of Yugoslavia. And they went into, they went underground, and they spent majority of the 4-year war in Bosnia underground, in different cities. So, you know, my mother's feelings towards that were obvious. You know, they fought for freedom, which I adopted. And, you know, maybe you can be influenced as a kid and think about that and, you know, take your mother's side or whatever. But over time you think about stuff the way it was, the way it is, the way it seems that it's gonna be. And you think, yeah, that must have been, you know, a fight for freedom. To go back maybe to what I said earlier about occupators having all the food and, you know, any life necessities locked down in their warehouses, in a way, blackmailing people into cooperation by giving them food or not. Now, who were the occupators also? That's not so much of a mystery unless you ask these modern historians. Who were the occupators? The occupators were obviously Germans. But were they alone? Absolutely not. There was a lot of forces organized or not that much organized. They were local. There were a lot of snitches, and they were brutal, actually. There was a lot of hatred between them, or among them, rather. And they translated that onto their, into their behavior towards the, their, well, opposing, if you will, nations. But they were even more brutal to the members of their own nation who were not exactly agreeing with them.